Hi, my name is Sam Townsend. I am in my fifth of 6 years at Bethel Seminary, and I want to share with you a little bit about me. I am from the small city of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, where I grew up the second of three boys. My mom was an art teacher, she still is. My dad ran his own concessions business, and that provided me with some unique opportunities. Being the son of a concessionaire, I got to travel to places like parades and powwows and street shows and rodeos and all these places where I got to not only see these places but to learn responsibility of working alongside my dad. Family was important to me growing up. My extended family and my immediate family were both really great influences for me in my faith and continue to be some of the people who know my story best. I also got the benefit of going to a Christian elementary and then a Christian high school, and that really helped me find my footing in my faith as well. I ended up going to Northwestern College in St. Paul, where I graduated with degrees in English writing and youth ministry. In college, started volunteering at Calvary Church in Roseville with a youth group. And 10 years later, I continue to volunteer with that youth group and continue to be challenged by teenagers and to learn about Jesus alongside of them. I also started working for an organization in college called YouthWorks. They lead short-term mission trips for teenagers around the U.S. And so as an employee of YouthWorks during the summer, I got to go to places like Pennsylvania and Virginia and South Dakota and spend entire summers in those places leading mission trips with teenagers. And that, too, was a really great leadership experience for me. So great that I continued working for YouthWorks, and I still work for them today as their brand and program manager, which basically means that I get to do a lot of communication on their behalf, do a lot of writing, and communicating with churches, training staff, and also writing curriculum for summer mission trips. It's a job that I really love. Between that and church and seminary, I tend to stay fairly busy. I want to share a passage with you. It's in Mark 2, verses 1 through 12. Mark 2, verses 1 through 12, a story about Jesus. When Jesus had come back to Capernaum several days afterwards, it was heard that he was at home, and many were gathered together, so that there was no longer room, not even near the door. And he was speaking the word to them. And they came, bringing to him a paralytic carried by 4 men. Being unable to get to him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him, and when they had dug an opening, they let down the pallet on which the paralytic was lying. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said to the paralytic, "Son, your sins are forgiven." But some of the scribes were sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, "Why does this man speak that way? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?" Immediately, Jesus, aware in his spirit that they were reasoning that way within themselves, said to them, "Why are you reasoning about these things in your hearts? Which is easier to say to a paralytic, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and pick up your pallet and walk'? But so you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive." He said to the paralytic, "I say to you, get up, pick up your pallet, and go home." And he got up and immediately picked up the pallet and went out in the sight of everyone, so that they were all amazed and were glorifying God, saying, "We have never seen anything like this." Now there's a couple reasons I really love this passage. First of all, I just love the idea of Jesus teaching, and all of a sudden there's a guy being lowered through the roof. What a great picture. But moreover, I love how Jesus responds to this guy who can't move, who is lowered in front of him, who's put there, and everybody in the room is thinking, "Oh man, I see this guy's need." But Jesus sees a bigger need. And the first thing Jesus says to this guy is, "Your sins are forgiven." And then eventually he does get to the part where he says, "Yes, get up and walk." But the first thing Jesus cares about is the biggest thing. And I think in my own life, I have a lot of little things that I'm worried about. Little things like having a bad day or getting a scratch in my car, or maybe things that seem a little bigger and I think are, like being sick or losing a loved one. And it is so good to know that I have a God who cares about walking alongside me in those situations. But I think the bigger thing and the better thing is that I have a God that cares about my big things in life, the big issue of sin that I have. And that is an issue that Jesus has already dealt with. Thanks for listening.